afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us here on another session of Beyond Connections, where you guys can ask us analysts from Abacus Securities on what you may have questions on about the market today. And it's a volatile market in the past 2 weeks, since the last time we saw you guys. And I think that's the least that we could say based on the number of issues that we have seen, both here locally and on the global scale as well. So, just to introduce you guys, hi, I'm Rainier Yu. I'm one of the analysts for Abacus Securities or MyTrade PH. I am one of the analysts covering the consumer stocks. And I'm joined here today by.
In the studio by Isaiah. I do technical analysis for my trade and Apple securities. Let me know what charts you want to look at, and we can go through them later.
Yes, good afternoon. I'm Bess, also one of the analysts for Abacus and my trade. I cover banks, the economy, and indices. So, yeah, it's been a volatile market this past few weeks. Just today, we've had several news items that came in this morning, notably the inflation rate. Much lower than what the market expected and what we also expected. So that's one of the reasons probably why the PCI is up today. What are your thoughts on the PSI on a technical basis? I see. Why don't we start with that?
Yeah. Joseph, can you show the chart? So we can start with the index. So thank you for showing the chart. So here, it's trading at the kind of like a relief rally. So it's trading above the top of the channel, which is nice. Constructive, but still remains below the 6164 level. Bit of a more of a risk off tone. So until it gets back above, it's probably still in that. Unfortunately, that downtrend. So probably you may consider looking at more of maybe defensive positioning in your portfolios. Yeah. Well, if you look at the all shares demand, kind of similar, nice break from the downtrend line. So maybe non-index stocks are getting some flows from are getting into the rotation into the portfolios. So, yeah. Rainer, do you want to?
Okay, thank you for that, IC. And since over the past 2 weeks, since we last saw you guys, we did have several companies that reported their full year earnings that may have impacted some of their share prices. And one of the more notable names is SM. And apart from SM's earnings, which we discussed as well in our reports over the past week, they did ano naman, fairly in line with expectations, but some of the underlying positives would be in its SM retail, since its retail arm did see some growth, pockets of strength as well in the fourth quarter, which is confirmed by the performance of RHI as well. And that could be why RHI is also seeing some positive momentum in terms of its share price. But going back to SM, they also announced the largest share buyback program and the first ever from SM's history. And although I think the market reacted positively, I think even a little bit from the news since they announced it last Thursday or Friday. Up until today, we haven't seen any transaction from SM. So really a bit of a question mark at this point. And given the history of SMPH, they first declared the share buyback program in December, but they only had their first transaction in Feb 18, 2025. So that's a bit of a ano naman, something to watch out or something to observe. when it comes to the share buyback program of SM. So, what about for you, Bess? What about on your end? Something.
Yeah, we're right in the middle of the earning season, no? Although it's starting to, or we're probably in the second half already of the earning season, and notably, a lot of the banks have already reported their earnings. Last week, we saw PNB and Security Bank, few of the smaller cap banks also reporting. I think the one that moved the most is PNB, over the past few days. This is mostly on the fact that they started or they declared dividends for the first time in 9 years. Uh, and the yield at the time that they declared was quite high compared to other banks and most of the other listed stocks. However, since the price already shot up, that yield has declined already. So maybe too late now to enter now. But for those who were able to, or those who held PNB for some reason for a long time, um, you until X date, you should be getting some pretty good dividends for the first time in a long while. So that's one of the big movers for the sector. Uh, or the past few weeks, also there is still that RR cut that has yet to take effect. Although this was announced earlier, a few weeks ago, this will take effect in March, end of March. So we should see some positive impact for the sector overall in the second quarter. Pa. And also with the very low inflation print for February, it's quite possible that the BSP would continue with their easing cycle in the next time that they meet for their policy for deciding their monetary policy. So lots to look forward to for the banking sector so far. Um, in terms of what those will have what effect those will have on earnings in the first and second quarter for the bank. So there. We don't have any questions yet on the board, so maybe let's talk about some of your favorite stocks. Um, Maybe I see on a technical standpoint, what's
Yeah,
been what interesting to you these days?
we can show. Let me look for it now. Um, One of the more interesting stocks recently has been Fix Mining. You can see it's recently had a golden cross after declining for some time. You can pull back siguro back to this support level, maybe back to 4 pesos. Maybe you can still get possibly reposition again for the resumption of the uptrend. And if say maybe it breaks 10% below that 4 peso level, you could probably exit with or protect your cut your losses basically. So um, so that's one of the stocks that I've been looking at. We posted it on Facebook, MyTrade map. So yeah, that's what I've been looking at. How about you, Rainer? Can you see
Okay,
anything,
thank you.
anything interesting?
Yeah, thank you for that, IC. Oh, well, just to note as well for Apex, it is one of our preferred plays for the gold. I think there are only a few names in the PSEI or in the PSE for gold mining stocks, and Apex is probably one of them. Or Apex probably tops the list because production has been better than its peers. OGP recently announced their results, and fourth quarter production output has been lower than expected because of weather concerns. And they did provide dividends for the fourth quarter, but it was a bit higher than expected. But the sustainability is a bit of a question mark. That's why share prices have come down a bit since it peaked around 16 or 17. On the Apex side, I think it's the one tracking more uh, the gold prices. And for gold prices, we do see gold maintaining its momentum and probably and possibly hitting another all-time high soon, given the volatility of what's happening in the US and the potential trade war escalating further. Um, and you see that question with regards to the tariffs and basically the trade war. More uncertainty would equate to gold prices trending more to the upside because of, I guess, people still treat gold as one of the havens, yeah, especially given the market volatility, not only here in the Philippines but on the global scale. We do have several questions now, and I think we can start off with the SEC question, a bit upwards. And so, your thoughts on SEC that announced lower earnings? Yeah, yes, they did announce full year earnings to be lower, and based on our estimates and consensus estimates, they are lower because of uh, gold prices. Think they, I think gold prices in terms of shipments have reach all-time highs, but in terms of its revenues from that segment, it is lower because uh, coal prices have been much lower compared to the previous year and even compared to the previous quarters. So our expectation with since SEC is a dividend play, that they are still likely to be able to maintain the double-digit yield, but the trend might be closer to SEC providing about 2 pesos, closer to 2 pesos rather than maintaining the 250. Well, at least probably when they announce on April or even in October. So in terms of their March payment or the first half of this year payment, uh, there could be a chance that they will still be able to pay the 250, similar to the third quarter of last year. But come the second half of this year, it is more likely that it will be bumped a little lower compared to what the market expects. But still, at current prices, I think it is still tracking at about double-digit yield and much higher compared to the others. Okay, thank you for the question. Next, we have from Rance Realtor insights regarding ICT, both Fonda and technicals. So, whoever wants to start first.
Sige, well, while IC would be preparing the technicals, we are expecting still good performance for ICT for the full year numbers and fourth quarter numbers. Fourth quarter tends to have higher trade volumes due to the holiday season. So we should see good numbers for ICT when they report, I believe tomorrow, um, and the after tomorrow afternoon. But the stock has been experiencing negative sentiment from the on and off again pronouncements from the U.S. president regarding the trade war. So this is creating a lot of uncertainty about future trade volumes across the globe. So this is perceived as very negative or quite negative for ICT. But fundamentally, we believe ICT is very geographically diversified, so this should mitigate the impact of Trump's tariffs against Mexico, where they have a bit a port, and China as well, where they also have one of their major ports. But we believe that exposure, the rest of their exposure globally should still have high volumes, and also they have been able to increase their yield per TEU, which is the unit of measurement for the volumes that they move around the world. So we are expecting that trend to continue. There is also a bit of news that we are expecting to see this month, although no set date. There should be, or the hearing for the contested takeover of the Durban port in South Africa should take place this month. So um, it's on in our view, it's a 50-50 chance for ICT on whether they will be able to take over that port or not, since their opponent in that case is quite a big one with also a large global presence. So we would wait until um, ICT is at lower levels if you want to take a position, and also probably wait until the news about the prospects for the Durban port come out sometime this month. So maybe we can look at the technical side. I see.
Yeah. So as you can see, it's been trading in the descending channel. There's some similarities with the price action from about 2022. So for those who are more risk averse, you probably want to wait until the price gets back above the descending channel and reverse. So until that happens, in the meantime, it's still a little bit oversold as trading at the bottom of the channel. You could probably see a relief rally in the very short term. If you're also short term, lighten on at about 367 until it reverses. Yeah.
Okay, I think the next question is related still to trade, no? From Fernand's. Maybe we can put it up. Hello po, ano po magiging epekto sa market natin in regards sa issue ng tariffs ni President Trump sa Canada? Specifically for Canada, I don't think there will be much impact on the local market. But the fact that he is imposing a lot of tariffs on a lot of markets, so today he went ahead with the tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China. Um, as mentioned earlier, this is creating a lot of uncertainty for not just these countries, but for the rest of the globe that trades with these countries or supplies to these countries. So far, the effect that we were seeing is on in terms of which stocks are seeing that the brunt of that, ICT. We should also see some impact on IMI, since in his address to the Congress today, to the U.S. Congress today, he mentioned that apart from the tariffs, one of the things that he mentioned was he is reversing that mandate for EV adoption, and IMI is heavily invested in that space. So we may see further weakening for the company if demand for EVs do come down as a result of this reversal of that mandate. For our exports naman, actually the PSA reported exports for January last week, and this actually saw a rebound um, for the first month of the year. We are not as exposed to exports as a source of GDP compared to other Asian countries, so we should be able to. This shouldn't um, this shouldn't pull down GDP that much. However, we will probably still see an impact in terms of having a negative trade balance. But from directly from the tariffs, we are for Canada. We are not. Canada is not that big of a trading partner for the Philippines. Our major trading partners still remain the U.S., China, and the countries that are closer to us in here in Asia. So there will probably only be some indirect effects from that. Anything to add, guys?
I think you covered most of it, Chris, but I think something to watch out further is what would be the impact of these tariffs. Canada Mexico, China. I think what we are monitoring would be the impact to the US dollar. And I think the dollar index is currently weakening given the resumption of these tariffs. And it is a positive for us, at least on that end, that the peso is appreciating against the dollar. So at least so far, what we are seeing, the more of an opportunity for some names or some companies um, who have dollar as means of their uh, trade or some their costs. It would their cost would be lower given the exchange rate between peso and the USD.
Also, speaking of what Trump has said in Congress today, I think he also mentioned that the U.S. will be embarking on that drill baby drill program, so we might see some lowering of the global oil prices, which would be positive for us since we are an oil importer. Um, Next questions on the board from Neil. Do we maintain the same 10 topics from easy to tell? For now, yes, we are maintaining our topics list. If you are client and subscriber of MyTrade or Abacus Securities, you should be able to receive our daily short takes and our weekly navigator, which has the top picks list for the first half of 2025. So if you're not yet signed up, sign up and you can receive our daily research reports for that. Okay. Thanks for the heads up about my audio. I hope it's better now. Okay,
Yes, I
so
think
while
it's
we're waiting, sorry for that. So while we're waiting for more questions on the board, we are expecting a few more earnings announcements this week. So I mentioned earlier, tomorrow we are going to have ICT. I think also we're going to have some gaming companies announce earnings.
yeah, we are expecting Bloom, which has been beaten down over the past months. And I think this would be more of more of a question mark at this point of how earnings would turn out for Bloom. The Padcore did release the GGR numbers last week, and there are snippets of positives, at least for the land-based casinos. If we take a look at how Okada performed, they performed pretty well within the expectations and within the numbers of Pagcor, and I think that's the very least that we expect for Bloom. But if they do, if earnings do pan out on the downside, I think we may see some further pressures on share prices. Especially, I think there are. Uh, I think there is a possibility that Bloom can be booted out of the index come the next index review. But also something to point out then for Bloom is its OPEX is much higher than we anticipated. That's why it dipped to a net loss position back in Q3. And and a reversal of that in Q4 would do wonders, at least for Bloom sentiment. Okay, I think we can move on to the next question. So, is there news on C REITs or CREITs dividend payout? So as of now, there is no announcement yet, but it should come uh, soon. And the expectation always at this time is it would always be higher compared to the first 3 quarters, given that they include some of the um, uh, residual payments into the fourth quarter, or basically wraps up the full year full year payout for Creed. So I think at this point, Creed, we are still expecting about 6.5 to 6.6% of yield at current prices. So still attractive as a dividend play among the REITs. So thank you for the question.
Yeah, I think last year the ex date was in April, so um maybe a few more weeks and we'll have that announcement already. From Neil, he says he has a MyTrade account but it doesn't receive the weekly and daily updates. It's an email. If you give your email address to our or maybe our um, staff behind the camera can contact you directly regarding your uh, MyTrade account and whether your email is able to receive that list. We'll have that sorted out for you, Neil. Um, yeah, since Rainer mentioned Bloom earlier, I see any technical point of view from Bloom for Bloom.
Let me just check Bloomberry. Chart here. Bloom accelerated, just accelerated this downtrend. Um, Not really much compared to it's been as oversold as it has been in 2015. So there's some positive signs to break up this downtrend line, but doesn't seem to have yet a large spike. So probably for the most part, an avoid for now on the technical. So that's the view on Bloom.
Okay, so while waiting for your questions, maybe I should expound on our expectation on Bloom's index membership. No, we are expecting that based on current trends for the price or Bloom's market cap level, if this continues up to June, in the next PACI reviewed in August, it should rank or it should be so the market cap should be low enough that it should be replaced by a different stock. If you want to know which one, sign up for my trade, then you can read it in our reports. Although I think a lot of people have already speculated a lot on this. Uh, so yeah. Anything else you want to discuss, guys? I don't think we have any questions anymore on the board. And since it's already 4 o'clock, maybe we can wrap it up.
Yes, so well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Although I think over the next 2 weeks until we see you guys again, we do have a lot of earnings that will be coming up. So I think the bigger names have already announced their results. But among the index members, I think we have several more in line in the next 2 weeks. That's why it's important to uh, keep tuning in terms of our reports or the daily updates. And since it could impact short-term sentiment, at least, at the very least. So I think we can take one last question. Hi, about Plus and Mac. If you can provide uh, both funda and technicals. And while I see both of the charts, for Plus, it has been rocky over the past week, but I guess on a much bigger scale, it is trending upwards given uh, the growth on the gaming sector has been coming mostly from the e-gaming segment, and Plus is pretty much the market leader at that point. It is set to announce its earnings on Friday, and the market may be gearing up for that, speculating a good performance. And our expectation is it will maintain the triple digit growth, at least on a year-on-year standpoint. And of course, on a quarter-on-quarter, since fourth quarter is normally stronger than third quarter, we are expecting uh, strong growth in the fourth quarter, and on bottom line, it is likely to uh, outperform expectations pretty much on across the board since based at least on the GGR numbers that were announced last week. Then for Macro Asia, we haven't had a significant updates on Mac since its 9-month earnings. 9-month earnings at least still were positive as a travel sector play, and they don't have the challenges that the airlines are facing, which is the high forex rate and as well as uh, oil prices, which ano naman, recently has been trending lower, which is positive. Well, Mac doesn't enjoy that positive, but at least they don't experience that volatility. So I think we are still at current prices. Mac is continues to remain attractive, but we do want to bear in mind some of the technical comments. So basically,
So for macro Asia, yeah, it broke about the support here at about 5 pesos, 505. So if you're more of a risk averse kind of trader or an investor, you probably lightening your position. For for plus and minus, kind of straightforward trading between the 20-day and the 50-day AMA. Looks like it's already bottomed. So those are the two charts that uh, were mentioned. So so to recap, for map basically just a light then, and then plus looks like presumption of uptrend.
oh, sorry, I forgot. I think I see mentioned the bottom for plus, and just a bit of a context to everyone. Um, I think there were comments by the Senate President over the weekend or even before that that they are looking for or they are looking at a potential ban to the online gaming segment, which could impact plus. But I think the market currently might be overlooking that statement, and odds are it won't happen for a while. So I think the momentum and the focus has shifted back into plus and its earnings that will be announced on Friday. So that's about it. I think we can. I think the time. I think we can wrap up already. So any parting words, guys?
Just want to say thank you for everyone for joining us this afternoon. And as Ranger mentioned earlier, we still have a lot of index names or a few index names that will be announcing earnings next week, AC, AEV included. So let's look out for that. And they might maybe there may be some opportunities over the next few months as we are expecting volatility to still be a factor with the tariff war, the conflicts between Russia and Ukraine, and also we are expecting prices to remain uh, or inflation to remain low over the next few months. So hopefully that should bring some positivity to a very volatile market. So fingers crossed. Hope you have a great week, everybody.
Well, I just want to say thank you for everyone for tuning in and for the questions, and I'll see you next time. Okay,
Thank you, everyone. See you guys.
thank you.